Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Kisoranandana Vrjanarandana Yashodanandana Vrjanarandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Kisoranandana Vrjanarandana Yashodanandana Vrjanarandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Prajanarangana Yashodanandana Prajanarangana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Sri Sri Radha Madhava Ki Jai Nityalila Vishnu Vishnupadis Divine Grace Lacy Bhakti Vedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada Ki ISKCON Samstapakacharyas Divine Grace Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Ananda Guri Vaishnavrinda Ki Sad Goswami Prabhu Ki Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopiko Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhana Ki Brajabhumi Vrindavan Dham Ki Sri Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Bolo Sri Sri Krishna Baldav Ki Jai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled bodies. All glories to the assembled bodies. All glories to the assembled bodies. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Glories to you, Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 74. And we're on 44 through 46. Okay. śabdaḥ kolāhalo thāsīc chiśupāle atha mahān tasyānuyāyino bhūpā dudruvur jīvitaiṣiṇaḥ śabdaḥ kolāhalo thāsīc Chispas chiśupāle kate mahān tasyānuyāyino bhūpā dudruvur jīvitaiṣiṇaḥ śabdaḥ kolāhalo thāsīc chiśupāle hate mahān tasyānuyāyino bhūpā dudruvur jīvitaiṣiṇaḥ
śabdaḥ kolāhalo thāsīc śiśupāle hate mahān tasyānuyāyino bhūpā dudruvur jīvitaiṣiṇaḥ śabdaḥ kolāhalo thāsīc śiśupāle hate mahān tasyānuyāyino dudruvur jīvitaiṣiṇaḥ
śiśupāle hate mahān tasyānuyāyino mahān dudruvur jīvitaiṣiṇaḥ. Ladies? Śabdaḥ, a sound. Kolāhalaḥ, uproar. Atha, thereupon. Āsīt, there was. Śiśupāle, śiśupāle. Atha, being killed. Mahān, huge. Tasya, his. Anuyāyinaḥ, followers. Bhūpāḥ, kings. Dudruvuḥ, fled. Jīvita, their lives. eṣiṇaḥ, hoping to save. Translation: when Śiśupāla was thus killed, a great roar and howl went up from the crowd. Taking advantage of that disturbance, the few kings who were supporters of Śiśupāla quickly left the assembly out of fear for their lives. The translation, please repeat. When Śiśupāla was thus killed, a great roar and howl went up from the crowd. Taking advantage of that disturbance, the few kings who were supporters of Śiśupāla quickly left the assembly out of fear for their lives. Purport: the above translation is taken from Srila Prabhupada's Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we'll go to text 45. I'll just read it. Chaitya dehotitam jyotir vasudevam upavishat pasyotam sarvabhutanam ulkeva bhuvi kacchuta. An effulgent light rose from Śiśupāla's body, and as everyone watched, entered Lord Krishna, just like a meteor falling from the sky to the earth. So this is amazing scene. Śiśupāla just got his head chopped off, and an effulgent light came out of his body. And as everyone was watching, entered Lord Krishna, just like a meteor falling from the sky to the earth. Purport: in this connection, the Acharyas remind us that Śiśupāla is actually one of the Lord's eternal associates, playing the part of a belligerent demon. Thus, to most observers, it appeared that Śiśupāle achieved the impersonal liberation, emerging into Lord Krishna's bodily effulgence. In fact, after being liberated from his mortal frame, Śiśupāle returned to the side of his master, the Supreme Lord of the spiritual world. The following verse explains this. So we'll go to text 46. Janmatrayanugunita vaira samradaya diya dhyayam stanmayatam tato bhavohi bhavakaranam. Translation. Obsessed with hatred of Lord Krishna throughout 3 lifetimes, Śiśupāle attained the Lord's transcendental nature. Indeed, one's consciousness determines one's future birth. Purport. Śiśupāle and his friend Dantavakra, who will be killed by Krishna in chapter 78, were previously Jai and Vijay, 2 gatekeepers in Vaikuntha. Because of an offense, the 4 Kumaras cursed them to take 3 births in the material world as demons. The first birth was as Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. The second was Ravana and Kumbhakarna. And the third was Śiśupāle and Dantavakra. In each birth, after they were completely absorbed in enmity toward the Lord and were slain by him, Śrīla Prabhupada explains the position of Śiśupāle as follows. Although Śiśupāle acted as an enemy of Krishna, he was not for a single moment out of Krishna consciousness. He was always absorbed in thought of Krishna. And thus he got first the salvation of Sayuja Mukta, merging into the existence of the Supreme Lord, and finally became reinstated in his original position of personal service. The Bhagavad Gita corroborates the fact that one who is absorbed in the thought of the Supreme Lord at the time of death immediately enters the kingdom of God after quitting his material body. The 3rd and 7th cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam elaborately describe the incident wherein the Lord's personal associates were cursed to come to the material world as his enemies. In this connection, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti quotes the following verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 1, verse 47. Vairānubandha tivrena dhyāna yachuta shatmatam nitao punar hare parsvam jagmatur Vishnu parsado. The 2 associates of Lord Vishnu, Jai and Vijay, maintained a feeling of enmity for a very long time. Because of always thinking of Krishna in this way, they regained the shelter of the Lord, having returned home back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Vidati Swapadandigam Adadanaschanandantai Vridam Yache Puna Puna Srimad Rupa Padambujo Dulisyam Janma Janmani Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Panchakalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhubhaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. So we've been hearing about this Śiśupāle now for a couple of weeks. He was constantly criticizing Lord Krishna. In fact, Krishna had given him a benediction that I will tolerate 100 insults. So finally he reached the goal, 100. And we heard he did it after Krishna had already been offered the puja and everything, because he wanted to disturb the sacrifice. But Krishna was so clever, somehow or other he managed to cut off his head without a single drop of blood. His chakra is so precise, because blood in a sacrificial arena would have disturbed everything. So somehow Krishna was so clever. He performed a little surgery there and cut off his head and finished him off. So Śiśupāle fell dead. And here it describes that everyone saw, this is amazing, everyone was able to see this spirit soul coming out of the body of Śiśupāle. Ordinarily we can't see the spirit soul. But somehow or other, everyone was able to see this amazing thing. And they saw it merge into the body of Sri Krishna. But here our Acharya is explaining that actually it was just like going through a door. He entered into the Lord and went back to the spiritual world, back to Vaikuntha, to his original position. Because actually our Acharyas had explained that, of course we are hearing it's about an offense, but our Acharyas had explained that actually the Lord likes a good fight, just like everybody, as soon as there's a big boxing match or wrestling match, then they're talking about millions of people are watching, everybody likes a good fight. So Krishna also likes a good fight. But who is there who can fight with him? Only person qualified to fight with the Lord is his own devotee. So Jai and Vijay, somehow or other, they got the desire to satisfy the Lord in this way, to give him a good fight. I translated one book of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Bandhu Kadambini, and there he describes this is not the recommended process of devotional service. This was a special case for Jai and Vijay, that we should not desire like that to fight with the Lord. But this was a special case just so the Lord can enjoy his wonderful pastimes. Because these pastimes are so amazing. Everybody likes to go see, just like every day they're telling, so many crore rupees were made by some stupid movie in its first offering. Everybody likes a good movie, So Krishna's activities, they're just to attract our mind. We want to hear about exciting things. So these activities are very, very exciting, just so we can hear. Because hearing is the most important part of devotional service. This hearing is the most important part. So Krishna performs all these wonderful activities. So to assist him, Jai and Vijay, they took these forms as first, what was it? Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, then Ravana and Kumbhakarna, and now Śiśupāle and Dantavakra. A few more chapters we'll hear about Dantavakra. Although most of this end of the 10th canto is about Dwarka Lila. Actually, Dantavakra, he was killed here. There's a village not so far from here called Dantiya. And they say that's where Dantavakra was killed. Because somehow Dantavakra, he hadn't heard that Krishna had moved to Dwarka. So he attacked Braj, and he was just tearing up the place. So Krishna didn't want him to make a big mess. He would just go on until he found out, where is this Krishna? So Krishna came from Dwarka, and he killed Dantavakra just a little ways, a few kilometers from here. There's a small village called Dantiya. Well, that's where Dantavakra was killed. So we're going to hear about that in a few more chapters. So actually this was just a special case for Jai and Vijay. They wanted to serve the Lord, let him have a nice fight, so that we can relish hearing all these pastimes. Because we want to relish, hearing some exciting stories. So Krishna's stories are so amazing, just like we're hearing about a little tiny fish, and then suddenly it got too big for the container it was in. Then he had to put it into a pond. The pond was too small. He had to put it into a big lake. Finally, that lake was just. We're hearing about all these things and how a boar came out of the nose of Lord Brahma and went up into the sky and became very huge, and he lifted the whole bhūmandala. If you go to Dwarkadish temple in Mathura and you're facing the temple, on the right side there's a little road. You go up 2 roads and then turn left. And first you'll come to a temple of Śweta, because somehow there was 2 different incarnations of Braha. One Śweta, Śweta of course means white, and one Lal Braha. Lal means red. So the first time I ever went to Śweta, they were very, very conservative. They wouldn't allow Śweta people to enter. Although it was Śweta was white Braha, and I was white, they refused to let me enter. But now the new generation has taken over. They've invited us. Where's our Rakal? They've invited us. You come anytime and do kirtan here, do anything, we'll make all arrangements. Now the new generation is very happy of foreign Vaishnavas are coming to take darshan. White Vaishnavas are coming to take white Braha's darshan. So, but always at Lal Braha, they were very friendly. They go down to the end of the street ends, and then you just enter into the temple there. And of course, the old pujari, his name was Trilokinath Chobe. I'm sure is no more. But anyway, he was always very friendly to us. He would let us come up to the altar, take pictures. And you can see that he lifted not just the earth, the whole bhūmandala. Because you can see, most of the time we see just the earth planet. But he lifted the whole bhūmandala. Because you can see this deity was made by Lord Brahma. After he saw that Lord Brahma, he was so amazed. He had a deity made of Lord Brahma. And you can see it's a flat plain, just like we read about bhūmandala in the 5th canto. So, and you can see there's the Manasatar mountain range where the sun is going. There's a Lokaloka mountain range. You can see all the different mountain ranges and all the different dweeps and everything. You can see sitting on Lord Brahma's tusk. It's very interesting. Because most of the time we just see a round earth. But it was whole bhūmandala that he lifted. Because English is a very lousy language. It's not very good for technology, but not for transcendental technology. So sometimes we mix bhūmandala and earth and everything, but bhūmandala is a plane like this. So you can see there if you go to this was made by Lord Brahma, so this is authentic. And if you're nice and you ask the pujari, he'll show you there's a book where Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he brought his Prikrama party there, and he wrote in the book that he wrote this whole story, that this deity was originally made by Lord Brahma, he worshipped, then he gave it to Kubera. It was stolen by Ravana from Kubera and taken to Lanka. After Lord Ram conquered Lanka and killed Ravana, then he brought that Braha deity back to Ayodhya. And then there's a place we're going to go very soon, Madhuvan. And there was one demon there named Lavanasur. Now, those who are Bengalis, you can understand, Lavan means salt. Just like here we say namak, but if you go to Mayapur, when they're serving out prasad, they're coming laban, 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 laban. Here it is, namak, 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 namak. So some type of namkin asur was there. So somehow Shatrughan came there and killed him, but he begged Lord Ram, so I can be assured of success, let me bring that Braha deity with me. So he took that Braha deity and he smashed that Lavanasur, and then he made his kingdom here. He called it, this place was called Madhuvan, so it became Madhupur, finally Mathura. That was his capital. So that deity has come, and Bhaktisiddhanta has signed saying this is the whole story of that very interesting deity. So, how did we get off on Lavanasura? So anyway, we were talking about all these wonderful pastimes. So all these things are very, very interesting, so that we'll be attracted to hear about Krishna. Because we're attracted to hear about so many things and to talk about so many things. It's described, especially in Nectar of Instruction, that we have to curb all of these urges. Just like we know that verse. What is that? Jiva vegam, manasa krodha vegam, all these vegams. Just like they have vacha vegam, manasa krodha vegam, just like they have a place where you can indulge in all these Vegas called Las Vegas. But it's always described, this tongue is the most voracious and uncontrollable. We sing every day in our prasad prayer. Because if we actually sit back and listen to our tongue, we talk about so many things. Everybody's, India smashed New Zealand to gain the trophy for the whatever it was. So everybody's talking about so many things. But this tongue is meant to talk about Krishna. So he does all these wonderful pastimes. We can talk about these instead of, all these other mundane things. We can talk about Krishna's pastimes. And the tongue is meant for tasting. We always want to taste so many things. Just like we're coming here and everybody outside the prasad stall was there with, all types of different sweets and cakes and everything. Immediately the tongue goes, wow. But this is actually Mahaprasad, so it's transcendental. Prabhupada said that this Hare Krishna mantra, that is our medicine, and Krishna Prasad, that is our diet. So these two things, this is all done by the tongue, tasting and talking. This is the most uncontrollable. But we have to control it. So Krishna performs all these wonderful pastimes just so we can talk about them and hear about them and relish them. Just like in Chaitanya Charitamrita describes the meeting of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with Ramananda Roy, and he asked him so many questions. He asked him one question. He said, "What is the goal of life and how to attain it?" So Ramananda Roy, he gives so many answers, citing the scriptures. He said one has to follow Vanashram, eho bhaya, just like bahiranga shakti. That's external, following this Vanashram, that's external. Then he gives some others answers. Then finally he quotes our most favorite verse in Bhagavad Gita. Sarvadharmam parityajya mamikam saranam braja. We all know this verse. Even sleeping is somebody, what is that verse in the last chapter? Even the devotee is asleep, he'll quote this verse. And Mahaprabhu said, no, go further. It was very shocking. He said, no, this is our favorite verse. Then, from this 10th canto, 14th chapter, Lord Brahma's prayer is the last chapter that Prabhupada personally translated. Jnane prayasam mudapasya namanteva jivanti sanmukaritam bhavadi vartam stane sita shrutigatam tanuvan manobir ye prayaso jita jitopasitais trilokyam. Jnane prayasam. If you know Hindi, then you know prayas means attempt. So jnane prayasam. Give up this attempt by jnana. We try to understand the Lord by jnana. Jnana prayasam udapasya. I heard one lecture, Prabhu said, udapasya means kick it out. Kick it out. Kick out this jnana and karma, kick it out. Jnana prayasam udapasya. Namanta eva jivanti sanmukaritam. Sanskrit is funny, when just like here, it took me a while to figure it out. It says chiśupāle because the last word ended with a cha, so we can't put a sha after that. You have to say cha. So chiśupāle. So if a T becomes before N or M, it becomes an N. So sun, it actually means sat. Sat means a devotee because he's always speaking satya, the truth. Sat mukharitam, we can understand mukha, mouth. We should hear, give up this jnana and karma, and sat mukharitam, from the mouth of pure devotee, what should we hear? Jnani sanmukharim bhavadiya bhartam. Those who know Hindi, bharta means chat. I think everybody's busy all day long chatting on Messenger, on Instagram, on Telegram, on X. Everybody's chatting so many things. But Lord Brahma, he says, Bhava, he's speaking to the Lord. So he says, Bhavadiya Vartam. Those chats about you. We should hear from the devotees those chats about you. Jivanti sanmukaritam bhavadiya vartam. Sthane stita. No need to change your position. You don't have to give up your family and go to the Himalayas and sit in the snow in the winter and the fire in the summer. No. Sthane, whatever you're doing, you continue doing. You stay in your place. Sthane stita. Shrutigatam, but you go on hearing these things. Then that person who's ajita, we're seeing all these pastimes, I can hear on the tape Prabhupada's voice. Anyone can conquer God? No, no one can conquer God. He's jita. Ajita. He's ajita. He's not, no one can conquer God. But he becomes jita. How? By somebody who listens, shrutikatam, who's hearing about Krishna. He becomes, although he's ajit, taistrilokyam, in all the three worlds, no one is there who can defeat him. Taistrilokyam. But he becomes ye praya so jityosa. He becomes jita. He becomes conquered by someone who simply sits down and listens. And on that tape, Prabhupada says, even if he doesn't practice but just hears, it is so powerful. This is not to glorify not practicing. Don't think, oh, I'll just sit and listen to the class and I can do and break all the four regulative principles and be happy. No. This is to glorify the power of hearing, not to glorify not following. To sing that is so powerful. Of course, just like if you want to go to the top of the Burj Khalifa, you can walk up all the stairs or you can take the elevator. So if you don't follow, then it's like walking up the stairs. But to follow what you're hearing, then you'll go much faster. But this hearing is so important. Then Mahaprabhu said, yes. He rejected that one sarvadharma. Why? Because nobody knows. It says one should surrender to God, but nobody knows who is God. Somebody's saying Durga, somebody's saying Shiva, somebody's saying Vishnu, somebody's saying Hanuman. Everybody's got some idea. First we have to hear, then we can surrender. Therefore he said, this is the one. If anybody gives up this jnana and karma and simply sits down, stays in his place, continues with his occupation, and hears about Krishna from an authorized source, then that person who's ajita, in all the three worlds, no one can conquer him. He becomes jita, conquered. Because Krishna is so amazed. Just like previously we had now of course now we have, everything is online, but previously we had a radio station. And so somebody brought me a radio, with about 3 different bands on it or something. So you can go on each band and there's so many channels on each channel, so much, everybody's talking about some nonsense thing. So many, just one channel, I think it was 99.9, something like that. You can hear about Krishna. So everybody's hearing about so many things. Somebody sat down to hear about Krishna, he becomes shocked. Oh. Then you can conquer him. Somebody's talking about me. Krishna becomes shocked and he becomes conquered by the devotee. So here is a big long purport that we should understand that Śiśupāle didn't get Sayuja Mukti. We've heard from Nectar Devotion that the Vaishnavas never, they're afraid. Who is it? Who is it? Krishna Karnamrit. Who wrote it? Bilvamangala. He said, He says, Mukti Mukta. It's just, Mukti is standing at my door with her hands folded. Please take me. He said, forget it. Huh? So, devotees are never after Mukti, especially Yuja. But this was a special instance. Actually, it was just like I said, it was like a door. He appeared that he went into the Lord, but he popped out on the other side in Vaikuntha, back in his regular service. Because he was constantly, this is not the recommended process of devotional service, to constantly think of the Lord in anger, but this was his service. The Lord wanted to have a nice fight, have a nice pastime that we could all talk about and hear about, and go back home, back to Godhead. So, Jai and Vijay, they took part in all these wonderful pastimes, constantly thinking of the Lord as an enemy, and so somehow, but this was this was their service. So he merged into the Lord, but he immediately went back to home, back to Godhead, back to Vaikuntha. So here Prabhupada gives a big long purport describing this was not to make sure that we understand this was not ordinary mukti, that we saw the spirit soul merging into the body of the Lord, but he went back to home, back to Godhead. And Prabhupada is describing here that whatever we think about or talk about, that's going to affect what our consciousness is. So if we're always hearing and talking about Krishna, then we'll get, then our consciousness will be Krishna conscious. And whatever you're remembering at the time of death, that will take you back to home, back to Godhead, if you're remembering Krishna. Therefore we have, just like now we're having this wonderful festival of the 50th anniversary of Krishna Balaram Mandir. We have so many things planned out. Just imagine at the time of death, you can remember, oh, we did that Govardhan Puja festival, that was so far out. We went to Krishna Balaram Mandir for the 50th anniversary. We went to all the 12 vans, and they had a boat festival, and they had so many things. They had not such a nice feast. If you remember all these things at the time of death, you go back to home, back to Godhead. So this is promised in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says that anybody who remembers me at the time of death, and he never returns to this material world, he goes back to home, back to Godhead. So these are all wonderful opportunities. These pastimes of the Lord, the appearance of the different incarnations, they're all opportunities for us to hear and chant about the Lord's wonderful activities and purify our hearts and go back to home, back to Godhead. So we should relish all these wonderful opportunities. Actually, what was that verse I was thinking? Getting old. I had a verse in my mind, I forgot. No, that one I already told, but this was something, another point. Anyway, so we can open it up if anybody has any questions or comments. All right, our Panchagoda, our wonderful temple president, he always has a question.
Who am I? Who am I? So Krishna is the creator of the Vedas, and there's a karma kanda section where you can worship different gods for, riches, intelligence, a beautiful wife, many, many things. But it seems like we're bypassing all those things. So why would they even offer these karma kanda section where people can, be misled for the material pleasures which will keep them bound? It seems as though, even though we're in a difficult age, Prabhupada is giving us the elevator instead of taking the staircase up to the top. So why didn't they just present the topmost philosophy and knowledge throughout the ages? Why wait till Kali Yuga for this Harinam Sankirtan?
Well, in Madhurya Karamani, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur explains that all these different pujas to the demigods and things like that, just to give us, encourage, because the nature of this material world is we're all fruitive. Whatever we do, we're always thinking, what's in this for me, We enter into a relationship, or we enter into some contract, or what is my interest? So, since we're fruitive, So it sort of dovetails our fruitive consciousness by worshiping these different demigods, then we get certain results. So gradually that will give us faith in this process of worshiping. And finally, when we get frustrated with, because ultimately material enjoyment is frustrating. I remember one time I was in Los Angeles and Prabhupada said, everybody in this material world is suffering or enjoying. No, everyone is suffering. But some suffering we call enjoyment, and some suffering we call suffering. So eventually you lose your taste, but you developed an affinity for worship, and you see that it works. So now we're offering you, you worship Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You go back to home, you leave all of this material world altogether. And I always remember the verse that one time Prabhupada asked, what is the most important verse in Bhagavad Gita? And actually everyone serves Sarvanami, no, then, what is that?
Manmana?
Manmana bhava bhakto manja, you know. Finally Prabhupada said, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yoviti tattvata tyaktva deham punar janma naiti mameti sorjuna. That if anybody understands that my janma and karma, Janma we know from Jamasmi, my birth, and karma activities. They're divya, they're divine. Prabhupada says, Krishna has Rasa Lila and you have Raska Lila. But Krishna's birth and activities, they're divya, they're divine. And anybody who understands in truth, Janma karma cha medav evam yo beti, just like we know Veda comes from this root vit. Evam yo beti tattvata, who knows them in truth by hearing from the bona fide spiritual master. Tyaktva deham, tyaktva comes, this is the verb from where we get the word tyag, to give up. Tyaktva deham, giving up this body, then what happens? Punar janmana, there's no, you don't get birth again. No birth again, well, what happened? Don't worry. Mahameti Sorjuna, you will come to me. He says, don't worry, I have, it's like that verse we're quoting, Sarvadharma, Mami kam sadanam braja, I have my braj. You can wander around braj. It's like we have 12 days of prikamas to wander around braj at our festival. So I have my braj, don't worry. You can wander around braj. So so all these pastimes and things, these are all opportunities for us to hear and glorify Krishna. So that tyaktva deha, after leaving this body, punarjanmana, we'll go back home, back to Godhead. So as far as why don't we just preach the holy name, I'm not really sure what the correct answer to this question is. Because I know many times people ask this question, but it's just that we're so fallen in Kali Yuga, nothing else will work. Yes, Akrana.
I hope it's not too technical a question, but we've been talking about this a couple of days, that the red Vraha kills Hiranyakashipu in different days of Brahma. Like one time he hits him with his hoof and his ear, Hiranyaksha of course, red, and sometimes he hits him with the club. So the question is it the gatekeeper all the time who becomes Hiranyaksha, or is it just a different demon or something?
Interesting question. I don't know the answer to this question.
A great answer.
Someone, Manjari mentioned she thought that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said no, that it was only one time that the gatekeepers fell, but we haven't confirmed.
Is a Jigasu Baba.
Maybe it's too technical.
Okay.
There's two kind of living entities, Nitya Buddha, Nitya Siddha. Everyone in the spiritual world, Nitya Siddha. So at one point we must have been a Nitya Siddha, but then when you come to the material world, you become Nitya Buddha. So the Vaikuntha assistants, Jai and Vijay, are considered like Nitya Siddha, but then they're taking a pastime role. Also Narada Muni in his previous life was supposedly an ordinary personality, but because of the mercy of the great Vaishnavas and benedictions of Narada, Narada became Narada Muni, the eternal transcendental spaceman, who's also a Nitya Siddha.
Yeah.
So, and basically, is it just the terminology that Nitya Buddha, eternally conditioned, where actually, if they follow the process of bhakti, they can awaken their Nitya Siddha status?
Yeah, but that's the way Prabhupada explained it. It's just, we've been in this material for time immemorial, so nobody can trace it out. So it's just, it's lost. So it's like we've been here forever. Anyway, the whole problem is inconceivable. That's my take on it. It's inconceivable, chintya. Just like it was always explained that, just like if there's a fire, you don't sit there, oh, I wonder how this fire started. Maybe there was a short circuit, maybe the gas leaked. No, first you get everybody out of the house and pour water. You put the fire out, get out of the house. So it's inconceivable for us to understand all these things. Just we're here, we've got the chance. Prabhupada is giving us this wonderful process, hearing all these wonderful stories and chanting all these wonderful stories. Let's take advantage, get out. Later we can worry about how we got here. It's inconceivable, you'll never understand. We'll just go on arguing on Facebook forever.
As Devi Shakti would say, with our teeny brain, we can't understand.
Yeah. Yeah. No other questions? I'm just amazed because actually our dear Sarvabhauma, his karmi name is Śiśupāle. I don't know why anyone named their child Śiśupāle. His karmi name is Śiśupāle Sharma, Dr. Śiśupāle Sharma.
Well, there was a Dhritarashtra too.
Yeah.
So he can be delivered by the Lord.
Okay, so if there's no more questions, we can bow down to the very soft and wonderful lotus feet of the great personality who's given us all these wonderful pastimes to relish and hear and glorify. Srila Prabhupada ki.